An event in our lives that is often important to us as Catholic families and couples is certainly the birth of a child, but then the baptism of the child in the church. This is very important, as we are all baptised with the same baptism. This is Mission Alive. I'm Roger from the MSC Mission Office. I want to talk today about baptism and the dignity of our baptism. We are all baptised in the same way. Pope Francis's baptism was no different than the last child baptised in the Amazon. I want to go into that a little bit now. I want to refer first to some documents that will help us to understand what we mean by this title, baptismal dignity. And this also gives us a shift in the nature of ministry in the church. The laity too share in the priestly, prophetic and royal office of Christ, and therefore have their own role to play in the mission of the whole people of God in the church and in the world. The laity are 11 animating temporal affairs from within. Again, big words from church documents. The shift was that because we are baptized, everyone who is baptized has a role to play in the mission of the church. And I've emphasized this on many times before. We are all on mission in the church. And the last one there, 11 animating temporal affairs from within. I've spoken of this before. The role of the laity is not principally within the church as ministers in the church. And I'm sorry to say, most of these seem to be liturgical ministers of communion ministers or whatever we call them. But the ministry of the layperson is out in the world, in the workplace. I've spoken of this before and I probably will again. So the baptismal dignity of all. So the child is baptized. And they have a ministry based on the right and duty of all the baptized to be active in the work and the mission of the church. Because of baptism, we have a right to be active in the mission of the church. And there you have different pictures of how people can be active in the church. And again, in that we are all on mission. The ministry of the ordained is to build up the faith community. The ministry of the layperson is to transform the world with gospel values, to penetrate the whole world with gospel values, no matter where we are. And again, from Pope Francis, coming out of his experience in the Amazon, where he began speaking of this process of synod. The church in the Amazon, yearning for a society of justice and solidarity in the care of our common home, wants to make the laity privileged actors. Their action has been and is vital in the coordination of church communities, in the exercise of ministries, as well as in prophetic commitment to a world that includes everyone, and whose martyrs give witness and challenge us. There's again a lot in there, a lot packed into that, but he has recognised the position of the laity, and that has often come about in some of these communities because the priest can't get there, and that is a good thing in the sense that the priests tend to try to dominate, whereas if they're not there, then the people take over what needs to be done. So their action has been and is vital in the coordination of church communities, in the exercise of ministries, as well as a commitment to the world that includes everyone. All this is very important to us. We need to be clear here when we talk about baptismal dignity. means we are all equal in baptism in the church. We are all equal in baptism. Just as human beings, created the image and likeness of God, we are all equal as human beings. That is the basis of democracy and of many things around the world. Unfortunately, that's not always recognised and lived out. Those in authority, whether it be political or in the church ecclesial, are not better than we are or more equal, if you want to say. They have a greater responsibility and a greater work to do. They have a greater responsibility for the community. They're not better than us. So as I said, Pope Francis's baptism is exactly the same as the last child born in a barrio somewhere in Argentina. But his role is greater. His responsibility is greater. But as a human person, as a baptized member of the church, he is the same as the rest of us. But every baptized member of the church has a responsibility to bring the gospel into society, into the culture in which we live, and to change that culture to be more Christ-like. This is proclaiming the word of God. This is our mission. Thank you for being with us.